Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Connect 2 episode 4. As you can see today we are outside, and as you can see there's a waterfall behind me, all because we're celebrating the Youth Month, which is on the June 16th. And today we're going to be discussing all the challenges that we face as the youth, also promoting entrepreneurship, which is the main objective for this channel. I hope you guys are going to enjoy, and I've got a very big surprise for you guys, as I have actually invited all the guys that I've actually invited to the show to become part of today's conversation. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, as I've said, I've actually invited two of our guest speakers that have been part of the Connect 2 YouTube channel. And we also have a special guest. His name is Silver Menesi. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. So we're going to start by David. David, please introduce yourself.
All right. Hello to the viewers of Connect 2. My name is David Akinusi, the founder of the Come Up Class. The Come Up Class is a wonderful online platform where youth can come and share their everyday stories about how they're trying to better their lives, good or bad.
Awesome,
All right.
awesome. And we also have Peter. Peter, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Peter Kamlangeri here, founder, director of Fast Fluency Africa, the fun way to know African languages.
Welcome, welcome. And we have Silver Menesi. Silver, please introduce
Hi guys, I'm Silver Menezes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of GrubCrunch, an online food marketplace where you get all your food at discounted prices.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, guys. So this is going to be a fun and chilled environment and conversation for today, as we're going to be talking about the June 16th. As we all know, it's the Youth Month. Right. Okay. Hope you guys enjoy the conversation. All right, guys, as I've mentioned before that, today the main topic is basically, wrapped around the Youth Month. And we're also going to be discussing the challenges that we as the youth face in our day, and also promoting entrepreneurship, teaching and educating people about entrepreneurship. So we're going to have different types of, topics that we're going to be tackling today. And we hope that it's actually going to, inspire you to do something and also help you on your normal day-to-day, journey. Okay, so we're going to have David introducing the topic that he's going to be talking about. David.
All right. Hello to the beautiful viewers of Connect 2. Today, the topic of discussion is going to be around social media and the impact it has on youth, both from a positive and negative perspective. I'll share, bits of my experience and the impact it's had on me, and I'll pass the topic down to, my guests on the other side for them to share their views. And hopefully, you can take what you want from it. All right.
Okay. And we're also going to be having Silver Menesi, who's going to introduce his topic.
Hello beautiful viewers of Connect 2. I'll be discussing youth dreams and aspirations.
Hey guys, Peter here. I'm going to be talking about the nature of jobs and the impact of the fourth industrial revolution.
Is the impact of social media on youth, both from a positive and negative perspective. Just to kick off the discussion point, I think if looking from where I stand from, is that, so obviously my show is a bit of an online platform in itself, so I use the internet, or was aggressively introduced to the internet more so about, call it 3 months ago, when I actually started up the Come Up Class. So I think in starting up the show, there was a lot of apprehension from both, family and friends, because I'm also working at the same time.
Yeah.
So social media, as I said, can be used as a very positive tool.
Yeah.
But we all know all the downside to it.
Yeah.
You can go viral for very right reasons, for very wrong reasons. And and my mentor in specific, when I told him about the idea of the Come Up Class, he was very, very cautious in his advice to me. I think his concern was mostly how would that spill over to my normal 9 to 5, right? Because with social media policies in organizations, etc., which are very stringent. But people, in the past were very lax about it. It wasn't really a big thing. You could say what you want on social media, freedom of speech, etc. But I think now there is a clamp on that, and organizations are taking to that. And I think, with all these stories that we've also seen, maybe the Vicky Maybergs, etc., there's actually criminality surrounding, your use of social media and free speech, etc. So you have to be very cautious with the content that you put out there, because the content you put out there is long lasting. You could delete it over YouTube or whatnot, but it's there for,
there.
you understand,
Yeah.
for forever long, the internet.
Yeah.
And I think I would just advise people to just be very cautious in what they upload. And yeah, I think that's my general advice. Boo, what's your take on it there?
I don't know, honestly. I've had very negative experiences with
Is it?
social media. Like, it usually makes people want to live a lifestyle they don't have, from the people I've interacted with.
Got you, bro.
Do things they don't want to do, so they're not very true to themselves, and
It's all for the gram.
it's all, yeah,
It's all for the gram,
it's all for the
right?
gram, you know.
Yeah,
so that's a
yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
because that's all.
Yeah, and you get people, committing suicide actually because of
Yeah.
social media.
Got
It's
you.
got so much pressure, but it also has, a positive side to it as well. Yeah.
I think I'm also of that opinion that it's a mix of both, but definitely I think two things from my side is that, number one, the difference with the introduction of social media and how it's had an impact, if we stick to the topic of the youth, for example, is
Got you.
because of the nature of social media, the youth has had to now have more responsibility or take up more responsibility, like similar to what you were saying, David, about the criminality surrounding what you put on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
So now you can imagine there are people who are like teenagers who are doing things now on social media that are
Yeah.
going to have repercussions for the rest of their lives. So just compared to like TV, when it came out, it was controlled because it was something that obviously larger companies could now properly use. But then with social media, the accessibility and the democratization of that platform has allowed for people to have a platform, which is nice in the sense that we can get more positive messages out there, but the same tool can be used to now get negative messages out there. So that'll be like from the one side that I look at it. And then from the second side, also building on what Priscilla was saying, I think it's not something that we can even act like doesn't exist, but it's a fact that prolonged use of social media does and is linked to heightened anxiety in a lot of the youth.
Yeah.
So just looking at the mental health discussion,
Yeah.
how social media addiction, some people are comparing it to other addictions, that it's very problematic from that perspective. But I think what interests me personally is the impact of social media in entrepreneurship for the youth. So, for example, my question would be, as a young person who's in business, do you now completely commit suicide if you don't have a social media presence and you're just lying to yourself if you think that you're going to grow a business in this day and age without having an Instagram or Facebook? Or do you guys think that you can still have a successful business as a young person without committing any time to social media?
I honestly think it depends. So, are you talking in terms of having a business Instagram page, or in terms of like personally having a?
No, I'm saying just for the purposes of marketing your business in this day and age.
Okay, for business-wise, it's very, very important that your business is on every social media. I feel personally, and you interact with your users so you can know in which direction to take your business. But on a personal level, for an entrepreneur, I don't think it's the greatest thing, because you'll see, for example, maybe one of your friends or someone you know of that maybe raised 2 million rand, and you don't really raise that 2 million rand, but you know that your idea is better than theirs, and so you're like, oh no, this, and now you start to feel that pressure you're talking, like the social pressure David was talking, from social media, to like, oh, you see, I'm not good enough, and then you put yourself down, then that leads to depression. So business wise, definitely, but personal use, I don't support it very much.
I don't know about me, hey. I think with me, I'm a bit of both.
Okay.
Business-wise and also, personal-wise, because I do actually, get my clients also through my personal social media platforms and also business. It works actually for me, but there's limitations basically with me. So I think it actually works both ways. I don't know. It depends on how you manage it, or you as an individual, how do you take on that pressure? How do you, set your mind to certain things that you see other people doing, and how do you as an individual take on it? What do you tell yourself? You understand? So basically it's about choice as well. We shouldn't feel so much pressure. I know there is pressure, but we shouldn't, guys. I think it's all, I also feel the pressure sometimes as an entrepreneur, seeing other people, on their personal platforms and also business-wise. But it's how I set my mind and how I think it's going to build me. It's all about me at the end of the day. I don't know. I could be right or wrong. What do you have to say?
I think I share the same sentiments as Silva. That in terms of business, I think it is paramount to have a social media presence. But the call it the differentiator needs to be what is your personal account,
Yeah.
your social personal account, and what is the business account.
Yeah.
And those two, if you choose to necessarily structure your business that way, need to be kept very separate.
Yeah.
Right? The two cannot overlap each other unless you're in a personal blogging type situation, or where you yourself are the business.
Yeah.
And I would say that I'm experiencing that sort of scenario in my particular venture, where somebody said this to me the other day, where you are the face of the come up class. It's not
Exactly.
that I can leave and then hey, we
No,
have new
you
presenters.
are.
Like no, Dave. People resonate with you being the face of the come up class. So I am somewhat forced to have my personal space integrated with my business venture. You know. So I had to be very, very disciplined, you know, in my approach to that, knowing what to put up, without also necessarily limiting my creativity. Because I'm a very hyper creative, you know, a bit of a talkative guy sometimes. But I have to know how to, and I have to know how to create certain limits in
Yeah.
that. You know, take advice from people. You know, where I would want to necessarily put up a certain topic, and they'll be like, "It's not relevant, Dave.
No.
That's more your personal opinion, and
Yeah.
it's not relevant to what the show, to what the premise of the show talks about." So
Yeah.
it's a lot of self-discipline. I think Patricia mentioned, which is very spot on. And I want to just lastly on my side, what I would advise people is that taking breaks from social media is important.
Yes.
that shit
it's
is important.
It's very
You know,
important.
people, you'd find that this one particular guy told me, it was like, you know, we have these apps on your phone that actually track your social media usage, etc. And he hadn't been on social media for like literally, call it a couple of hours, right? But to him, it made all the difference in the world. And I thought he was just, you know, just speaking all that. And I tried it for a couple of days, brother. it's like
You know,
it's like
talking
your
about
head
that,
is just.
I'm actually on my second month now because I
Don't
took a
read
break
it.
from my personal Instagram page.
Got you.
I'm on my second month now, and it really, really does feel great.
Yeah, it
Trust me,
does.
it does feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've done that.
I think my closing point would be, I don't agree with you guys in the sense of you being required to have a social media presence as a business.
Okay.
And hear me out. Here's the rationale behind that.
Okay.
So, if the medium is the message, and that's an old phrase, an old saying by this author, Marshall McLuhan, and in that sense, if I send you a DM as opposed to calling you, as opposed to meeting you in person, which one's more intimate? If I say happy birthday, David, via
you.
Facebook on your wall,
Yeah.
or I meet you, I go out of my way to come meet you and
Yeah.
say you happy birthday, or even mail you a postcard and say
Yeah.
happy birthday, which one feels more personal,
Obviously, the more physical interaction.
right?
the more-
And
yeah.
now, I have a belief
Yeah.
that people don't do business with businesses; they do business with people.
Got you.
So the more like an actual human being you can be as a business,
Yeah.
the more of a real connection you can make with your clientele. And I feel like sometimes the approach a lot of people take to social media is to create their own story and paint themselves in the best picture
I'm with
and
you.
just try to only portray the nice things about themselves,
Yeah.
as opposed to actually focusing on the reason you're in business, which is the
Exactly.
client. So you send out mass messages. You don't send out personalized, focused, and niche
Intimate,
down
yeah.
messages to your clientele. That would be my argument.
Yeah.
That you can do the same amount of, or have the same amount of impact with your clientele and in the market using conventional means and making it as personalized as possible. Whether it's, I'd say, I guess WhatsApp would be the exception because it's cheaper and you can have an in-person conversation on the text and everything. But you can accomplish that without having an Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat. That would be my argument
Yeah, I'm with
Okay.
you, brother.
personally, because I see how Priscilla, you were saying you do get clients from social media. Up to date, I think maybe we've gotten 2 clients that saw our posts on social media and they were interested. Otherwise, it's been going to people and speaking to them. So, because I'm always going to be for the more intimate approach.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion, personally.
Yeah. Okay.
So, with what you're saying, right?
Okay.
I have a
Here we
question,
go.
right? Here's a question, okay?
Mm.
Let's say you have you need to reach a lot of people.
Yes.
You can't physically meet everyone,
Okay.
and social media is the only platform, like
Mhm.
Where you-
right now, where you can
Connect.
find people in
Yeah.
different areas that have the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
So I feel like for business, yeah, it's important. But I understand where you're coming from with the email. Like, for example, when we email people, we don't say hi. We say hi, put your name, and then maybe if we've ever had an interaction, we'll put that interaction we had to create more of a humanly vibe to them.
Yeah.
But not this personal. Like, it would be very hard to scale, I feel. Like, let's say, for example, now your business is growing, it's quite big. You can't have enough people to go meet everyone. That would be time wasted when you could have been doing something else, like developing your product or developing your service for the better.
Here's my rebuttal to that. Okay, let me organize my thoughts properly.
Yeah.
All right, so your main point is that the reach is more with social media.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now here's a simple question I have for you. When was the last time you bought a product simply because you saw an advert for it, or simply because you found out about it for the first time on social media? As opposed to
Okay.
the last time you bought something because a friend recommended it. Which one happens more often generally for people?
To be quite
Word of
honest,
mouth
it's
or social media, paid advertising, and all of those other channels? That's my only question. That's point number one.
Okay.
Responses?
Priscilla, you want to say something?
Which of the
on
two? Word of mouth or social media?
that? Your experience?
my experience. Honestly, it's word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
David?
Word of mouth.
It's gotta be social media, fam.
Yeah.
So wait, so for you,
It's
literally, it's a situation
No,
where it's
but
like,
he's
No,
platform.
like
It's
the
an
thing is, like,
online
let's say for example, let's say what?
Yeah.
Let's say you shoes, right?
yeah,
You've none of your friends have seen these shoes, and all of a sudden you scroll through Instagram, what the? And then you see these really nice
Yes.
shoes.
Oh.
You're gonna buy those shoes, right?
yes.
So I feel like, you know,
Because the point I'm trying to make, right,
Yeah.
is that, think of it this way. There's three of us right here.
okay,
But we are like a drop in the ocean in terms of the ocean of entrepreneurs.
Got you.
And there's like millions, billions of us out there who are trying to attract so many different people to pay
Yeah.
attention to us. So the consumer is always being bombarded by different media messages like, buy me, pay attention to me, look at me, I'm nicer, right? So when you're bombarded with so much,
Yeah.
how do you determine and filter what's actually credible, what's actually worth your money, what's actually something worthwhile? A referral is what breaks through that noise. So my problem with social media, and also to now hammer on the second point I was going to reach, when you said about how there's more reach, and there's something you said which I think is problematic just because of my mentality, when you said it's not scalable. But thinking that way is not what you call it, progressive in my perspective,
Yeah.
because the moment you're only thinking about scalability, you're forgetting about the most important person, because you also said product development. But if you don't have that connection with the customer, what are you going to be working on developing? Because you're going to end up developing a product and spending so many months in the studio, and then you drop Yeezus, and then no one likes it because you're disconnected from
Okay.
your audience.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
my argument.
okay. But now let's say, for example, you build a product,
Yes.
right? Let's say you build a product, you reach the market cap here in South Africa. How would you now get your product elsewhere?
Of course, definitely at some point.
Not obviously not to start, but you need it
Yeah.
to find people that experience that problem. Like,
Okay.
like let's say, someone, for example, they're injured or they want to study abroad, right? You're not gonna go. You want to study abroad. You want to study abroad. You want to study abroad. You'd rather advertise than people that want to use the product because they believe in the vision, the mission that you have. Click on it, and then they use your product. But however, yes, I understand you have to build a product to that specific
Yeah,
person. You can't not
Yeah.
build a product to that person because then all is lost.
Now, I hear you. I guess my closing statement would be social media
Yeah.
is a means, not the end. And
Okay.
it's a means that can do more damage sometimes.
Okay.
And I think more times because of the expectations people have of it,
Yeah.
that if you have an Instagram page. Because the other thing as well that for me is problematic, followers aren't clients. Those
Thank
are two
you.
different things. You can have 1 million followers, good for you, hey?
Yeah.
But how many bought
Clients.
your product?
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, you're only gonna convince someone to really buy consistently and again if you have a proper conversation with them. So why start by DMing them when you can knock on their door and have a chat with them, and they probably have 3 or 4 friends who also want to buy?
Okay.
That's my approach. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I also do that part basically because we in telecoms and we also have sales agents. We actually do have field sales agents that actually go and knock on customers, doors and pitch, the deal, and then the client will sign the contract there and there, and they come back home with the deal. So that actually also works very, 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 very much better. But we also have agents calling clients, doing cold calling and speaking to clients, where they build rapport with the client, where they manage to convince the client to actually buy our products as eAfrica Telecom. So I do actually agree with you on there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So for
your
me,
mom, happy
it-
birthday next time. See how happy she is. When you're right there in the
Yeah,
same
so
house.
for me it
you
works
guys-
both ways, honestly speaking. I think it works both ways. Yeah, from my experience.
Yeah.
From my experience. Yeah.
Away. Yeah. So I guess it's my topic now.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said earlier, I wanted to talk about jobs, and I think to be more specific, I really want to discuss, because this is very interesting to me, the impact that I think the different things are coming with the fourth industrial revolution, and the impact that they're going to have in jobs. Because to make sure that we're on the same page. So with the fourth industrial revolution, we're talking about the advent of AI, so machine learning, and obviously we're talking about autonomous vehicles,
Yeah.
and then we're also talking about 5G networks, and then autonomous robotics in like manufacturing jobs.
Straight.
So I just wanted to know what you guys feel about the fact that obviously with this new technology, some jobs are going to become obsolete, and then there's no certainty as to what new jobs are going to be created. But the fact is, there will be a majority of people who are currently looking towards certain career paths where there won't be jobs anymore there. So how does that affect the youth now? How should the youth be thinking about that? What should be a response to that? So those are just some of the things that I'm kind of really interested in right now.
My stance in that is I'm a firm believer in just adapt or die. Eh? Real talk, eh?
Yeah.
Adapt or die.
Yeah.
In every sense, in every aspect of your life. I think change brings the most opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Maybe at a business level, or be at a very personal level, or that has been my necessary experience. And change obviously can put you in a very compromising, tough situation. You have periods of call it, for lack of better words, famine in your life, seasons of famine, etc. But that thing, instills certain lessons that even if you don't understand why you're going through certain things, connect the dots backward, and you'll most probably get the gist of why you necessarily had to go through X, Y, and Z. But not for me to get derailed, because we're speaking specifically towards jobs in particular. My stance is still the same. You have to necessarily adapt or die. I think you have to have a blend of chasing your passion and also being very realistic and pragmatic with regards to how the outcome of what you necessarily choose will look like. Right? So if you know there's a particular, call it, career path that will be, or there's a probability of that being phased out in the future, but it's something that you're genuinely passionate about. Be cognitive of the impact external that discipline will necessarily go through. And if you're comfortable with navigating your way necessarily through that discipline, maybe upskilling yourself to become necessarily the fact is, as much as we have this robotic era, etc., we still need a certain level of manpower to operate this, right? And if, for example, this is a very hypothetical scenario that I'm throwing out, but I think for whatever discipline you're going through, if you know it's phasing, upskill yourself to a point where you would still be relevant in that discipline. Maybe at a very technical, functional level, that's fine. But the fact is, you remain in whatever discipline resonates with you. This is something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
I have one add-on
Got you,
to that, and also maybe it will help focus the discussion a bit.
Yeah.
So and that's why I initially started by saying the nature of jobs.
Yeah.
So remember how there's alternatives where people are talking about just structuring society where there's like a universal basic income.
Yeah.
So remember, the reason why we have a labor market and we have jobs to begin with is so that we have a productive economy. So my question is, in a scenario where that's completely integrated with robotics, so we don't have to do the manufacturing jobs because it's cheaper and it's more efficient for the whole economy as a whole, that we have robots who don't get injured, who don't take sick leave,
Yeah.
who
Don't come with emotions.
all of those different, inefficiencies that you might call them. But it's just more, it's better for everyone. That's why I'm challenging the notion of jobs and the nature itself. That what is, because you look at the baby boomers, so that's like what, after generation or before generation X or Y, I can't remember. I just know we're millennials apparently. And they looked at jobs as sort of like a status symbol. Like something that you look at as you have a career, like it's something to aspire to, something to be proud of. But then we're going towards a future where jobs are going to be optional. That's what it's starting to look like, because we're just not going to be, there's not going to be a demand for certain types of labor. So now that's why I'm questioning you guys as the youth now, how should we be thinking about the nature of a job? Should a job be something that is a separate part of your life? And it's not what you really are, because people say that I'm not my profession. I actually have a passion for these things.
Yeah.
But then you have some people who do what they love. Do you get what I'm saying?
Got you.
So that's what I'm trying to ask you guys. Like the nature of jobs in general. Like, is it just a functional thing? Is it something that creates, gives people dignity? Is it something that the moment we can't attach an economic value to it, because the point of a job, right, is for you to earn money so you can live a better life. But the moment there's not that opportunity anymore, what's going to be the alternative? So those are the questions that I would love to hear your guys' views on.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to say something?
Okay. So I feel like, the fourth industrial revolution is obviously going to bring a lot of change, but it's not necessarily bad.
Okay.
It's not bad. I understand that jobs will become obsolete, but I'm sure we're doing jobs now that our great grandparents weren't even doing,
Yeah.
right?
SEO,
So, you
what?
You see, so I don't see it as bad. I see it just depends on which side of the spectrum you're on, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, I feel like AI is probably like one of the greatest inventions, especially in terms of safety,
Yeah.
in terms of machine learning, making people's standards, because it's going to have to improve our standards. For you to be part of society, you're going to have to step up your game. You can't just relax, and be, I'm going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That will
Gotta
ultimately, probably, hopefully improve the economy of the country and take us to the next step. So I'm with AI. I think it's a good thing. Yeah, it's preventive.
Sure. I think. Yeah. So my stance is probably with Boo Boo, in the sense that it should be embraced. Hey? I understand the trade-off is the fact that they are going to be obsolete jobs, but the opportunity also stands where they're going to be new jobs.
Yeah.
New people. We call it new passions will be found in people. Because of these new opportunities, these new roles that were never, created in the past, etc. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I think it leans more so to the good. If AI is regulated and controlled very strictly, very correctly, I think there's a lot of opportunity that can come out of it. Yeah.
I actually have a question. Then how someone out there is watching the show, and what message could we bring to the youth especially, and to people out there about this whole conversation that we're having right now? What can they take from it to ready themselves for that time? Because sometimes it becomes a very deep conversation.
Yeah, it
it
is
becomes
deep.
a very deep conversation, because you have people that are against it, and you have people that actually are for it. So what message can we give out to the people, or people that are watching the show?
Yeah, and just to add, I won't start with my contribution, but just to add, it is a relevant conversation right now.
Right.
Didn't Standard Bank just retrench 1,000 jobs or something?
Exactly.
And that was due to an investment in fintech, last I checked. So
Okay.
it's happening right now.
It's already
It's
happening.
not something that's why I said us now. We're the ones who are going to be experiencing this the most.
Yes.
And then we have people 10 years younger than us who are also going to be experiencing it the hardest. The ones who are mid-varsity now, and by the time they finish, they might not get the job opportunities that they were promised when they enrolled.
Exactly.
So it's a really, really relevant conversation.
Yeah, so in closing, I would say, as I said, this sounds indeed a bit Walt Disney, but but it's the truth, guys. Following your passion and really going after things that really resonate inherently with you. When people talk about getting up to do whatever they do, they could do that for free.
Yeah.
You know, because it comes so naturally to them. It's a gift to you. And that essentially is the definition of what a real gift is. Something that you do effortlessly.
Yeah.
But you do it so immaculately well, right? And I think you cannot give that up. You
Yeah.
cannot give that up
Yeah.
because of the call it the terrors of what AI could bring in terms of the obsolescence of jobs, etc. Adapt or die. I say this once again. If you really
Adapt
protect
or
your
die.
protect your passion by adapting
Or
to make sure that you see it in full fruition.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you, and I agree to the extent of follow what you're passionate about,
Got you.
because you're most likely going to do a better job either way.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. But, you know, I also have some hobbies, you know, but some of those hobbies are just not in demand right now.
I got
You know what I'm saying? No one's
Yeah.
going to pay me to like iron their clothes for them. You know what I'm saying? You know, I like straight, nice iron clothes, you know?
Yeah.
With that line that comes there, you know what I'm saying? No one's going to pay me to do that for them.
That makes
So
sense.
that's my thing. That's
I'm
why
with
I
you.
keep going back to the nature and the notion of jobs to begin with.
Yeah.
Because how I understand it at a very basic level is that labor or labor law and just the job market is built on a social contract that we have
Mhm.
that in order for our society to function, everyone needs to put in some work. And the return that people will get for that work will be a salary that comes with other benefits.
Yeah.
But now, when we get robots to do that for us, why am I pitching up? Why am I waking up early to go work at this job that I really don't like when I have these other things that I want to do, but at the same time, no one's going to pay me for that? Do you see what I'm asking now?
Yeah.
So just the way we need to start thinking about jobs, and especially our generation going forward. Because what a lot of people don't get is that, and I love how Trevor Noah said it recently in some interview he did about how it's funny how it's old people who are interested in politics, not young people.
Young people.
When it affects us the most, like old people, I'm sorry to say, are about to kick the bucket. So it's us now who are going to lose these jobs now. So
Yeah.
we're the ones who need to be taking this forward and start thinking and actually steering the dialogue as to what we want jobs to mean
Yeah.
for us.
Got
Whether we even want to acknowledge the concept of a job as it currently is. Because even if you look at the past 20 years, the trends that have been happening towards a shift towards flexi time, where you work away from work, things of that nature. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's I'm more in line of where it's like, yeah, there are things that you should focus on, which are your passions.
Yeah.
But first we need to question what the concept of a job is and what it's going to mean to us going forward. Is it going to be a source of sustenance?
Yeah.
Is it going to be something that you use as a status qualifier? Is it going to be something that's optional? So those are the questions that I would love for us to discuss more about, just so we can have a well-rounded view on that as a collective generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have something to say?
Okay, yeah. So I'm again with Dave. No, it's not that we like, but honestly, because look at it this way, right? Let's say, for example,
Guys are hitting
Let's-
us.
Collusion.
no.
There was collusion.
Look at it this way, right? Let's say, for example, you're passionate about ironing clothes.
Yeah.
Like now
The line.
with the line, now with the line, right? Now you put in survival mode, right? You like if I don't find a way to make my passion work, I will die. Like I will not see tomorrow. Are you telling me you are not going to find a way to maybe tell a friend, tell another friend, tell a friend, let me iron your clothes for you, let me do this for you.
Okay.
You will naturally become this.
Okay,
Driven-
let me use a
driven
different
person.
example. Let's look
Wait.
at businesses that just became obsolete.
Okay.
Okay.
Especially looking at the fourth industrial revolution again. I'm not going to be a successful millionaire from starting my own taxi company. Autonomous vehicles are going to make that impossible for me in the next 20 to 30 years.
True, but you
That's
could.
what I'm talking about, where there's
Right.
no demand in the market,
True.
just objectively speaking.
Yeah.
True.
That was a poor example, although still, that line.
Yeah, but you get my point. But you see, right?
Yeah, no, we do.
With
we do.
you have to incorporate your passion, because I can guarantee you now, if you ask anyone that's really, really successful,
Yeah.
anyone,
Oh no, I'm not disputing that. I
right?
agree with
They're
you.
passionate, because when your body goes in survival mode, you're like, whoa, if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. You will find a way to make it work. For example, let's say you're learning a new language. You're like, oh crap, if I don't pass this language, I will not graduate. Are you telling me you will not
Oh,
go through the ends of the earth
hear
to
you, right?
ensure.
I
It's
think,
just- it's-
I do actually also agree with the guys. Hey. I think you just need to adapt.
I hear you guys.
We have to adapt. It's coming, guys. It's the reality that we
inevitable.
actually have to face, and we have to do something about it. We have to do something about the reality. You understand? It's something that's coming, and there's nothing we can do to change it. We just have to adapt. You know, as that's what I wanted to know. What message are we leaving for people out there when we're discussing this topic? You know, I think they have to adapt and they have to ready themselves.
Yeah.
You know, start now rather than later, because you already know
Yeah.
that it's coming. So what are you going to do? That's the reason, the whole purpose we have shows like, you know, the Connect 2. Be an entrepreneur, you know.
That's what I was
be
gonna
be an
suggest.
entrepreneur. Start something that's going to be relevant when the time comes, when they start, you know, implementing all this, you know.
Opportunity, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Start now.
Yeah.
Do research while you still have the time. You understand? So that's my message to people, basically.
I hear that.
Okay, so my topic will be youth dreams and aspirations. Okay, so I'm sure everyone has dreams and aspirations. I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone
Told you
like
the
when you were
Yes.
when you guys were like
Line.
5, you're like, hey, I want to be a policeman. Then you guys turn 10, they're like, no, I want to be a lawyer, and then it changes, right?
Yeah.
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 But I feel, tying back to the first topic, social media has changed that completely.
Okay.
What do you guys think? I feel like social media has changed that completely. Because
Yeah.
before you would be like, I want to be a lawyer. That lawyer's now, no. You know what?
Yeah.
I want to be an influencer. Boom. So what do you
So
guys
wait,
take
do
on
you
that?
mean that you feel like social media has lowered the standard or something? I don't
Like-
know what you're saying.
Is this what created more confusion?
It's created more
Is it-
confusion. Like
As to
people,
what people want to do.
what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like people don't
Oh,
understand
Okay.
where to
So
go.
many
They
options.
looking at the wrong idols, looking wrong place for advice. So it's a big.
I don't know. I think if I can start, right? I think I wouldn't agree with that 100%. Not just to be controversial. But the reason why I'll substantiate right now is because there's this perception that a lot of older people have relatively to the young people now, right? So like anyone 50 plus, where they'll be complaining like, the young people these days, they're so distracted, always on the phones and all what. And they look at that as if that's just an overarching way of classifying us as not being focused how they were focused. I look at this thing as young people, because they're exposed to so much more, they now have an opportunity to experience more and actually figure out what they want to be. Because it's the thing where back in the day, you'd be like, I want to be a lawyer, but your first exposure to actual law is at a tertiary level, unless you do moot court in high school. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
There's some of these professions where you only get real exposure to that career path at such a high level. So there's such a disconnect between you actually realizing that I really want to do this because this is what it takes. You know what I'm saying? And actually being exposed to that. But now with social media and the accessibility of information, people are like, let me actually try this because I can get immediate feedback. So that's what I see, where people are now able to try out different career paths quicker. You know what I mean?
Okay.
No, it's a very interesting stance. I didn't even think of it.
In that,
That was a
Perspective.
deal. That's a whoa,
I told you, I
Yeah,
was
that's a
attention.
very,
yeah,
very-
yeah.
That's a very good
Okay.
perspective. I think in aspirations towards your career path, essentially, and all of that. So I think my stance is I'm in agreement with the both of you,
Yeah.
right? And just to add on what Boo had said, in terms of social media and its influence on how people then choose what job options they want, I think social media glamorizes
That is true.
a lot
Lot
of high profile jobs or high profile jobs, and what are considered or things that are considered call it menial, being an artisan work, etc., are not given the glamour that social media would essentially put over other jobs, right? And those jobs are 100% important, eh?
That's a robot.
Right? You know the phrase that no, not the phrase. Well, yeah, the phrase that too many chefs ruin
Yeah.
a good stew, right? Is that, or we just have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, right? So no offense to any of our Indian audience, right? But like, I think it really detracts a lot of youth right, in their decision making when it comes to what they want to do. Right, it can also be used in a very positive light, as you had mentioned, where then it brings you closer to all these various, diversity of employment, where you can, dabble in this, try that. Where in the past that would be literally our ancestors' wildest dreams, of trying these multiple, professions, which people in today you would find people change jobs in change professions, call it 5 good times, etc. And I mean, like an utter change of profession, not even moving from one company to etc. So I think that's also a good positive aspect that I think the impact of social media on youth aspirations is giving us. Yeah.
You mentioned something about, at 10 you wanted to be a lawyer, at 20 you're now selling, cars, at a dealership. Doesn't it boil down to passion, basically?
I don't think so. I think because, for example, like you see your friends, oh, they already have this. You're like, I want to get it quicker. Instead of, because if you put instead of being like a lawyer and you want to put the grind to get what you want, you're like, no, I want it quicker. So then you find the easier route. That's why I'm very, skeptical with this.
Well, I think, I don't know, my opinion, it's passion, because I did marketing, right? I did marketing, but now I'm in IT telecoms, and the day I landed that job, I loved it. And that's why I realized, wow, this is actually what I love doing. You understand?
Yeah.
As so much as I'm doing the Connect YouTube channel, the first thing I saw, and when we hosted that event we did last year, I was like, wow, I actually love what I'm doing, because it's passion, and then I excel in it. You understand? Because I remember when I was doing my grade 10, I wanted to be a chartered accountant, because my mom is a qualified accountant, because my sister's also a chartered accountant. So I was like, yo, you know what? That's what I want to do. But the moment I went into the industry, as much as I did marketing, I was looking for marketing jobs and whatnot, but I found myself in IT telecoms, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it, and I strive in it, and I push. So I think it's also, passion. I don't know, and I don't know. I could be right or wrong.
I think there was one thing you said I just wanted to query. I think it was I don't know, just didn't sit well with my spirit. Like my ancestors just spit in my ears.
Yeah, just to add on that, to say, passion goes together with being true to yourself, finding yourself as well. Because as much as it creates confusion, it's more of you as an individual. Rome wasn't built in a day, so why do we have to find quicker ways? Because, to be quite honest, in entrepreneurship, I don't think there is a quicker way to make money. There isn't one. There isn't one. All these guys, I always say life begins at 40, because when I look at all these millionaires, look at Jay-Z, like he's like what, 50 now, and he's already a billionaire. I'm being,
All I'll say personally on the social media thing is you must never forget. Humankind has been around for a long time, and every new medium is gonna feel like, now that we got this, now such and such and such, this whole glamorizing of jobs. No. When TV came out, when radio came out, when all of these different media platforms came out, everyone around was trying to blame the media platform. But the media is more of a symptom than an actual cause. Because who uses the media?
Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show again. As you can see, we've changed the venue, because, it's winter and the sun goes down very fast. So we had to change the venue because we needed more lighting. So we're going to be now wrapping up the show, and he's going to give, his closing thoughts on the topic that we were discussing earlier on.
Okay, so my topic was youth dreams and aspirations. And all I have to say is, for all you dreamers, and, don't stop dreaming.
Yeah.
Just follow through, stick with your passion, and something will come through.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
On specific
And basically, and also, what message are you giving out to our viewers?
Oh, okay. I think my message in simple terms is just try as many things as you can try, so you can figure out what you love and what you can actually make a living from.
Yeah.
So expose yourself as much, and this is the best time for you to do that, because ignorance is a choice in this day and age. There's a YouTube video for everything. So educate yourself, use the access you have.
Yeah. So David, your closing thoughts on his topic.
Yeah, I think aspirations in youth is necessary. I think dreaming in itself is 100% necessary. I think a lot of people are told from a young age that your dreams need to be filtered down to to whatever level is realistic and pragmatic to the world. But I think if you necessarily put that to the side, and I know the theme about this show is this particular episode has always been like it's passion related. You stick to that, stick to your guns, and take a bet on yourself. Yeah. Oh, I think that definitely would work out.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys, my message for you today is on this topic that we were just busy discussing right now. Is don't stop dreaming. Keep dreaming, and you know what? If you find your passion, go for it and do it. Okay, so now we're just going to be basically wrapping up the show in the discussion and the topics that we talked about today, and just sending out the message to the youth, since it's the youth month. I think we're more focusing on the youth, and we're just gonna give our closing statements and a message to everyone out there who's watching the show today. Okay, Peter, what message would you leave our viewers with today?
I guess now that you put me on the spot, to summarize everything we spoke about, the most important thing for me that I would love anyone to take out of what we've been discussing, and just the fact that we took the time, because we're all busy here. Some people working professionals, we all have exams and other commitments that we have, and why it's important for us to also make that sacrifice is more young people need to have these conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing for me, because a lot of the things that we're discussing here are things that I've thought about in my social circles or just on a personal level in my personal life, and it's what drove me down the path that I've gone and drove me down the path of entrepreneurship. And I've experienced so many blessings because of that enlightenment. I would wish more young people could experience that. But that starts with taking responsibility for our own circumstances. So understanding that, realistically speaking, there are limited opportunities. There's exogenous innovations that are occurring that are beyond our control. There's a debate between whether you should follow your passions or you should pursue a career. But in line of all of that, you as an individual, you need to decide what's most important for you and how you can better yourself on a day-to-day by enriching yourself and also benefiting the community around you. So that would be my closing perspective, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Peter. That was a very, very sweet message. And Silver?
I think I have a very short, sweet and simple,
Yeah, go for it.
just inform yourselves. That's what I'm saying. So if you read often, go on the internet, learn new things, develop yourself for the better, and never stay in your comfort zone.
Yeah. Message. Thank you for the message, and we hope that it's actually inspiring other people out there. And yourself, David, your closing statement.
Yeah, I think once again, shows like this definitely progressive. I think it opens up good dialogue amongst youth, and amongst youth, in varying ages. People, Boo-Boo's age, your age, it's and my age as well. It is definitely needed amongst us, and we definitely we carry the future in all different, and we all need to necessarily play our parts in creating a brighter future. Yeah, I'll just say that in closing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. Well, basically for me, my message was very, sweet and short as well. In my previous, closing for his discussion, it's basically, to stay focused and, keep dreaming and go for your, for your dreams. Whatever it is that you find you're passionate about, go for it and don't stop, guys. It's the youth month, and we just decided to do, a collaborate discussion together as as the youth, and we're young entrepreneurs as well. So we're just hoping that the today's discussion is actually going to inspire people out there, especially the youth, to stand up and go for it, whatever it is that you love doing. Be creative, make it a product for people to buy. And I believe that as African kids, we're very bright. We're very bright. We are intelligent.
Definitely.
And we can do a lot, together. So as we all know that the main, the main objective of this show is to basically encourage entrepreneurship, encourage it. And also we need raw people, as we are, startup entrepreneurs. Basically, we face a lot of challenges, and we've discussed these challenges in our previous interviews, where I was, interviewing David and also you, Peter, as well. And we tackled the challenges that we actually face as the youth. So in closing, I'll just say, what, guys, knowledge is power. Search, Google, we've got internet, let's use it for something that's actually going to benefit us in the future. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode, even though we had to change the venue, and come back indoors, but it was really a very good discussion that we had together today, guys. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that a lot of people are actually going to grab something from this and learn something from it. That's the whole purpose of this show. And also, as we're also going to be hosting a conference near towards the end of the year, so we're also inviting you guys to say, you need to come, whatever it is, whatever business idea that you have, come and show it to people. You never know. Networking is power, guys, because we all here through networking. You meet people, and whatever idea that you have, you discuss it with someone else. You never know who you're going to be speaking to one day. So yeah, man, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this show and you are actually going to learn something. So guys, in closing, where can people still find you, Peter? Just to give out your details once again. Where can they find you? Your YouTube. Are you on YouTube?
So basically, website www.fastfluencyafrica.co.za, social media @fastfluencyza on all platforms, and yeah, simple as that.
Awesome. And
you can find every platform. Just go GrubCrunch, one word, GRUBCRUNCH.
Okay, awesome. And you, David?
So it's the Come Up Class, all one word, and that's the Come Up Class on all social media platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, and also YouTube. And then you can subscribe to the WhatsApp statuses on 082-616-9677. All right.
I'm sure it's also showing down on the screen right now. Yeah, and then the people can just get... Well, as you all know, I'm Priscilla, and you can find eAfrica Telecoms. We're a national VoIP service provider. We offer wireless internet solutions, and we also offer, hosted cloud PBX. As you know, we also have the Connect Business Conference, that actually connects young aspiring entrepreneurs to mentors for free on a 6-month program, and also, to teach, people out there about entrepreneurship and to encourage entrepreneurship. And you can also subscribe to the Connect 2 YouTube channel. Right, and then our number at eAfrica Telecoms is 012-111-7420. And you can also visit our website on www.eafricatelecoms.co.za.